The small house at the corner of the street looked calm from the outside, but inside the air felt heavy and tight, as if something was about to break. Maya stood near the wooden table in the living room holding a cup of tea that had already gone cold. Her eyes were down and her shoulders were tense. She could hear Ron moving around behind her, and every sound he made felt loud inside her chest. Ron had always been a loud man when he was upset, and tonight he was more upset than usual. His words were sharp, and they filled the room with pressure. Maya tried to stay quiet, because she believed that silence was safer than speaking, but even her silence seemed to make him more restless. Nita, Ron's mother, had been sitting in the next room, folding clothes and listening to every sound. She knew the tone of her son's voice too well. It was not the voice of a calm man. It was the voice of someone losing control. Nita slowly walked toward the living room, hoping that things would settle down before she arrived. But when she stepped inside, she saw Ron standing too close to Maya, and his face was tight with emotion. Maya's hands were shaking, and her eyes were filled with fear and sadness. Nita felt her heart drop when she realized how serious the moment had become. Ron raised his hand while speaking in anger, and Maya took a small step back without even thinking. Her body moved on its own, as if it remembered moments she never wanted to think about. Before Ron could move any further, Nita rushed forward and caught his hand in mid-air. Her grip was firm, and her eyes were full of both love and deep disappointment. She looked straight at him and said in a clear and strong voice that she did not raise him to treat a woman this way. The room went quiet, and even the sound of the clock on the wall felt loud. Ron froze as his mother held his hand. He was not ready for her to step in. Maya slowly lifted her eyes and saw Nita standing between them like a shield. For the first time in a long time, Maya felt that someone was truly protecting her. Tears filled her eyes, not just from fear, but from the feeling of being seen. Nita did not let go right away. She kept her hand around Ron's wrist, making sure he understood that this line could not be crossed. The rain outside tapped softly on the windows, and the room felt like it was holding its breath. Nita spoke again, reminding Ron of the boy he once was. She talked about how he used to be kind and patient and gentle. She asked him what had happened to that boy. Ron looked away, and his face showed confusion and shame. He slowly pulled his hand back and took a step away. His shoulders dropped as if a heavy weight had just fallen on him. Maya sat down on the sofa because her legs felt weak. Her mind was filled with memories of better days. She remembered when Ron used to bring her small gifts and make her laugh. She remembered when their home felt warm and full of love. Over time, that warmth had slowly faded, and she did not even know when it started. Stress, worries, and silence had built walls between them. Maya had tried to keep peace by staying quiet and careful, but she had lost herself in the process. Nita walked over and sat beside Maya. She placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, and Maya felt a small comfort from that simple touch. Nita had always treated Maya like her own child. She had seen the changes in Maya's eyes over the years. She had seen how Maya grew quieter and more tired. She had wanted to help, but she never knew how until now. Ron stood near the window and looked outside at the rain. His reflection in the glass looked like a stranger to him. He could see the anger on his own face, and it scared him. He knew he had crossed a line, and his mother's words were still echoing in his mind. Nita slowly stood up and told Ron to sit down. Her voice was calm, but it left no room for argument. Ron sat in the chair near the window, keeping his eyes on the floor. Nita sat across from him and spoke from her heart. She told him that a family should be built on respect and care. She told him that anger only breaks what love tries to hold together. Maya listened quietly, holding her hands together. Every word felt important. She wanted to believe that this was the moment when things could change. She wanted to feel safe in her own home again. Ron finally looked up. His eyes were filled with emotion. He did not speak, but his face showed that he was thinking deeply. The room was quiet again, but this time it felt different. It felt like something had been exposed, something that could no longer be ignored. The rain outside slowly began to soften, and the sound was gentle instead of loud. Maya felt a small warmth grow inside her chest. For the first time in a long time, she felt hope. She did not know what the future would bring, but she knew that this moment was important. Nita had stepped in not just as a mother, but as someone who cared about what was right. Ron was facing a part of himself that he could no longer deny. As the night continued, the three of them stayed in the living room, surrounded by quiet and thoughts that were slowly changing. Maya knew that this was only the beginning of a new chapter in her life. And deep inside her heart, she felt that everything was about to change. The night slowly passed after that heavy moment in the living room, but none of them truly slept. Maya stayed in the small bedroom staring at the ceiling while her thoughts moved like quiet waves. She kept thinking about Nita standing between her and Ron, and how that simple action had made her feel safe for the first time in a long while. Ron sat alone in the other room, looking at old family photos on his phone, remembering who he used to be before stress and anger took over his heart. Nita stayed awake too, praying silently that this family could still be saved. When morning came, the house felt different. The air was calmer, but it was also filled with unspoken words. Maya stepped into the kitchen and started making tea. Her hands were steady now, even though her heart was still unsure. She did not know what Ron would say or do next. She only knew that she could not keep living in fear. Ron walked into the kitchen quietly. His eyes were tired, and his face looked softer than it had the night before. He stood near the doorway for a moment, as if he did not know how to enter the room. Maya noticed him but did not look up right away. The silence between them felt thick, but it was not angry anymore. It was careful. Nita came in behind him and sat at the table. She watched both of them closely. She knew that this was an important moment. Ron slowly took a seat across from Maya. He looked at her and tried to find the right words. His voice was low when he finally spoke. He said he was sorry for how he had acted. He said he did not want to be someone who caused pain. Maya listened quietly. She did not know if words were enough, but she was glad to hear them. Maya finally looked up at him. Her eyes were filled with emotion, but she stayed calm. She told Ron that she had been hurting for a long time. She told him that she felt small and invisible in her own home. Nita nodded as she listened. She wanted Ron to truly understand what his actions had done. Ron looked down and took a deep breath. He said that he had been carrying stress and frustration from work and life, and he had let it change him. He admitted that he had lost control of his feelings. Maya did not interrupt him. She just listened. For the first time, he was speaking honestly. The day went on slowly. Nita suggested that they all spend some time together to talk more. They sat in the living room, sharing memories and thoughts. Ron talked about how he felt pressure to be strong all the time. Maya talked about how she felt lonely even when she was not alone. Nita spoke about love and respect and how a family should always be a safe place. As the hours passed, something started to shift. Ron began to see Maya not just as someone in his life, but as someone with her own feelings and dreams. Maya began to feel a small sense of strength inside herself. She realized that she had a voice and that her feelings mattered. In the afternoon, Maya decided to go for a walk. She needed fresh air to clear her mind. Nita offered to go with her. They walked slowly down the quiet street, talking softly. Maya told Nita how thankful she was for what she had done the night before. Nita smiled and said that standing up for what is right is always important. Maya felt tears in her eyes as she thanked Nita again. She had never felt so supported before. Nita told her that she was not alone and that she deserved to be treated with care and respect. Those words stayed with Maya long after their walk ended. When they returned home, Ron was waiting in the living room. He looked nervous but hopeful. He told Maya that he wanted to change and that he was willing to work on himself. Maya did not answer right away. She needed time to think. But she could see that he was trying. That evening, they ate dinner together quietly. It was not perfect, but it was peaceful. The house felt lighter than it had in a long time. Maya felt a small sense of calm inside her heart. As night came again, Maya stood by the window looking at the sky. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy. But she also knew that this was the first step toward a better life. The family was standing at the start of something new, and no matter what happened next, Maya knew she was no longer alone. The next few days passed slowly but in a calm way that felt new to everyone in the house. Maya noticed that Ron was trying to be more quiet and thoughtful. He spoke with a softer voice and did not raise it when small things went wrong. Maya was careful with her feelings, But she also noticed these changes. She had learned not to trust too quickly, yet a small part of her wanted to believe that this was the start of something better. Nita stayed close to both of them. She cooked meals and kept the house warm with her gentle presence. She often sat with Maya and asked how she was feeling. These simple talks helped Maya feel less alone. For the first time, she could share her thoughts without fear. Nita listened with patience and kindness, and that made a big difference. Ron started spending more time at home. He fixed small things around the house that he had ignored for months. He cleaned the yard and repaired a broken chair. These actions were small, but they showed effort. Maya noticed, even when she did not say anything. Her heart slowly began to feel a little lighter. One afternoon, Maya went to visit her old friend Lena, who lived a few streets away. Lena had known Maya since her early days of marriage. When Maya told her what had happened, Lena held her hand and told her how brave she was. These words gave Maya more strength. She realized that she did not have to carry everything by herself anymore. When Maya returned home, Ron was waiting. He asked her how her visit went. His tone was gentle, not demanding. Maya told him about Lena and how she felt. Ron listened quietly. He did not interrupt her. This made Maya feel respected. That evening, Nita suggested that they all sit together again. She believed that open talk was the only way to heal. They sat in the living room as the sun slowly set outside. Ron spoke first. He said that he had been thinking a lot about his life and his choices. He admitted that he had allowed stress and fear to turn him into someone he did not want to be. Maya listened carefully. She told Ron how deeply his actions had affected her. She spoke about feeling invisible and small. Her voice was calm but strong. Nita nodded as she listened, proud of Maya for speaking her truth. Ron looked at Maya with honest eyes. He said that he was sorry for the pain he had caused. He said that he wanted to become a better man. These words were not just spoken. They were felt. The days that followed were filled with slow healing. Maya began to feel more confident. She started doing small things for herself, like reading in the afternoon and going for walks. Ron supported these moments. He did not question her or stop her. Nita watched everything with care. She knew that true change takes time. But she could see that something was shifting in Ron's heart. He was learning to pause before reacting. He was learning to listen. One evening, Maya and Ron cooked dinner together. It felt strange at first, but also warm. They talked about simple things like food and the weather. These small talks were a bridge between their past and their future. Maya smiled for the first time in a long while. It was a small smile, but it was real. Ron noticed it and felt hope grow inside him. Nita watched from the side, feeling grateful. The house that once felt heavy now felt more peaceful. The walls no longer seemed to hold fear. Instead, they held quiet hope. Maya knew that her life was changing. She knew that she was becoming stronger. No matter what the future held, she knew that she was no longer silent. And that made all the difference. The days slowly turned into weeks, and the small house felt lighter with each passing morning. Maya woke up one day and realized she no longer felt afraid when she heard footsteps in the hallway. That small change meant everything to her. She could finally breathe in her own home. Sunlight came through the windows, and the rooms no longer felt dark or heavy. Even the air seemed warmer. Ron was also changing in quiet ways. He started waking up early to help around the house. He cleaned the kitchen, fixed broken things, and made tea for everyone. These simple actions showed that he was trying. Maya noticed them. She did not forget the past, but she could see effort in the present. Nita watched both of them closely. She felt proud of Maya for finding her strength. She also felt hopeful that her son was learning to be better. Every day she reminded Ron that respect and patience were the roots of a strong family. One afternoon Maya went outside and sat in the small garden. She planted flowers, something she had not done in years. As she placed her hands in the soil, she felt calm. It was like she was planting a new beginning for herself. Nita joined her and helped. They talked about simple things and laughed softly. Ron watched them from the window. He felt something new in his heart. It was not anger or stress. It was a feeling of wanting to protect and care. He walked outside and helped water the plants. Maya looked at him, surprised but not afraid. In the evening they sat together for dinner. It was quiet, but it was peaceful. No one felt the need to raise their voice. They talked about their day. Maya shared how much she enjoyed working in the garden. Ron smiled and said it looked nice. Later that night Maya went to her room and wrote in a small notebook. She wrote about her feelings, her fears, and her dreams. Writing made her feel strong. She realized she had a voice, and that voice mattered. The next day Maya decided to visit Lena again. Lena was happy to see her smile. Maya told her how things were slowly getting better. Lena told her that she deserved happiness and peace. Those words stayed with Maya. When Maya returned home, Ron was waiting. He asked her how she was. His tone was gentle. Maya felt something shift inside her. She felt respected. Nita cooked a warm meal that evening. They all sat together. It felt like a real family again. Not perfect, but honest. Maya started planning her future. She wanted to take classes and learn new skills. She shared this with Ron and Nita. Nita was proud. Ron supported her. This support made Maya feel valued. Days turned into months. The home felt different. There was more light, more calm, and more understanding. Maya felt safe. Ron felt grateful. Nita felt peace. One morning Maya stood in front of the mirror and smiled at her reflection. She saw a strong woman. A woman who had found her voice. Ron walked in and told her she looked happy. Maya smiled and thanked him. That simple moment meant more than words. Nita stood in the doorway and watched them. Her heart was full. The house that once held fear now held hope. Maya knew that no matter what happened next, she would never let herself be silent again. Her life was no longer shaped by fear. It was shaped by courage, care, and self-respect. And that was her true victory.